The following is a presentation of NoVA Hackers at ShmooCon Epilogue 2014, hosted by Mach37, brought to you by Compute Cycle.
Oh, hi.
Hi!
I'm aricon, Nicholas B. I've been in NoVA Hackers for a few years. I'm going to do a very short talk or long topic, depends on how much I ramble, about statistical probabilities. It will have a very cursory overview of what's in InfoSec and used for, and then have a bunch of funny things to relate to, so you can like say, oh, that's interesting, or there's a YouTube video, and it's not a cat. Hooray. This is me.
Statistically, what's the probability?
I have no idea. I don't make this stuff up. I just put it on slides badly.
It's impossible. The non-cat is a lie.
Yes, exactly. Yep, I do a podcast called Grumpy Sec. Don't listen. It's not very good. And other stuff. Yeah, it is shit. I heard that. This is about basically what statistics are used in just about everything you do, from creating reports to everything else. And I'll give you a list of common stuff, to the bro box, to the password cracking. Almost all the other talks you'll see at a conference will have some element of it. Unfortunately, I find that a lot of people out there either have never taken a stats course, so they don't understand the underlying principles behind it, or they took it so long ago they basically understand one particular principle of it and then don't have a good grasp on how they can apply those things without reinventing the wheel. So it's good to know. I like to have people find their old textbooks and find them actually still be relevant because they couldn't sell it at a used bookstore. Sometimes that stuff is helpful, more than doorstops or holding up a couch or something like that. And it's better than just making a big Excel list and saying, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. Because sometimes that takes longer than you have. Right? And this is nowhere near finished. It's a work in progress because I drank a little too much this last weekend for some reason. All right, and I know there are people from other countries here, so I put an S in the little things for them, just so they can understand. It's helpful. Basically, what I consider statistics is getting metadata or meta about data. Yeah, that's bad. Essentially, so you're collecting data about how data looks and understanding it so you can digest it and make find patterns in it that you wouldn't be able to do on the surface through your given understanding. And also, it's really forgiving. A lot of times you can find trends without actually being very good at the math that underlies it, just getting a steering point to say, this is an anomaly or this is a problem in one thing or another. Okay. And it makes it really easy to digest complex topics, sound like you know what you're talking about, and then regurgitate that information to other people. So I just had a few different things, and this is by no means anywhere near an exhaustive list of different applications just in the industry. Everything from cryptographic analysis to authentication audits, to anomaly detection, net flow, IPSs, IDSs, unicorns, horses, incidents, all the other stuff. Yeah. Network fingerprinting, so watching for how long stuff takes to respond, how much data it puts out, how it responds to certain sizes of packets across a large network. If you want to say, this is this router because all the traffic that comes through this one responds in this particular shaping method because this feature is enabled. You have to use some sort of statistical analysis to figure that information out, unless you basically make a huge list and just count, essentially. Fuzzing. So if you want to make a good try at fuzzing that's just not randomly sending crap to every single input field on an application, statistical analysis is very important because it gives you an idea of which fields allow for certain types of things to come back, which ones have more errors, which ones will take things faster, which ones take different types of input. Very useful for those sort of things. Forensic data recovery. So if anybody has ever done any kind of data recovery, and if you may have seen Scott Moulton's talk at ShmooCon, he talks about there are errors on this hard drive. Forensics people ignore them, but you can do data recovery on this sort of thing. you need to have an idea of the surroundings of the disc if you're going to do some sort of repairs on them, because you need that facility, and that is done by doing reconstruction of the blocks on that particular drive, so you can rebuild it and say, this is this file. Okay, this is where the evidence is. Right? And there's a whole bunch of other things, and I'm not going to talk about any of these. So let's talk about something else. Who here plays lottery? Raise a hand. Show of hands. Nice. So I'm done. No, seriously. So, yeah. So who here has heard of somebody winning the lottery more than once? Okay. Cool. And this is like the most common stats like thing, except for the birthdays thing. So you may have heard this before. So I've heard about 2. This is just like a selection. There are 59 entries on here. This is for just state lotteries. And this doesn't incorporate any of the other ones, national lotteries, scratch and wins, or anything of that nature. These are all just like, big ones, 5, 6 numbers, large numbers of digits. So I want to analyze one of the ones that you can actually get sales numbers on, because sales numbers are important in figuring what the odds of something are, for whatever reason. So I went to the UK National Lottery because they actually publish pretty good statistics on week-to-week sales. They have a particular amount of time they've been around. They have a pretty standard system, which is a 6-number, 49 number possibilities for each number, and it doesn't require the number to be any specific place inside of that number, so long as you have them all to win the jackpot. Okay, so I want to go through this here. So the chances of winning the UK lottery are just under 14 million to 1 in a given event. So you buy one ticket, your chances are just under 1 in 14 million to win the jackpot in that particular contest. Okay. There are also an average of 32 million people buying an average of 3 tickets per week, every week. That's a lot of tickets. That's distinct numbers. So they basically do it on distinct numbers. So yes, people can buy duplicate numbers, but that's how it boils down based upon sales versus the number of people. Okay. As I said, the number of distinct number combinations versus random ones are not published, but it kind of breaks down around any other system where people are choosing numbers at somewhat random. Okay. There may be some higher numbers around birthdays, but those tend to spread out as well. So if you actually go and break down the numbers based upon the number of tickets sold and number of people, an average of 1.3 people every drawing wins. That's pretty good odds. I'd play the lottery if I had that kind of odds. But that's for every single person buying a ticket in the lottery. Right? So what about winning the lottery more than once? Twice, for instance. Okay. That's a little bit more difficult for an individual. A certain person, say me, that's just under 1 in 200 trillion. A little bit more difficult. But if you take all the previous lottery winners since the start of the lottery in November of 1994, multiply that by the number of weeks across all of the drawings that they've had in about 19 years, so that's 988 weeks, plus all of the winners, plus the number of lottery tickets they actually buy in that given period of time, it works out to being a much smaller number. 1 in 3,850. Now, if you also take that over the average lifespan, which is the average age of the person who won the lottery previously, it's 45 for men and 49 for women. The average age, life expectancy, is 80 and 81 in the United Kingdom. Okay, that means they have an average of 1,612 different attempts they can make over the rest of their lifetime. And now, if you boil that down times the 3 tickets, you get down to the chances of being 1 in 2.4 that all of the people who've ever won the lottery before that continue to play it will win the lottery again. That's pretty good odds. 1 in 2.4 to win a multi-million dollar, pound, whatever, lottery is pretty nice. But it only works if you are the entire population of that group. Now, statistics is great and all, so that makes it sound great. So if you phrase this in a way the odds are X, 1 in 2.4, that somebody can win the lottery twice. That sounds great as a sales pitch, doesn't it? Yep. Unfortunately, I would never do that because the odds are actually still 1 in 200 trillion, or just thereabouts, that you will actually pull that off. So it's important to watch and for how this stuff breaks down. So if you win a lottery, you've got a much better chance, but it's still not any better than you winning the first time. So anyway, next. So I would never play unless I can cheat, which people have done in the past. And if you want to run, it's still not a great idea because you probably won't win again. And if you do, I could like some money. That's nice. Money's nice. And now for somebody far more eloquent. This was the amazing James Randi. Can everybody hear this?
Folks, I had a really titillating and rather disturbing experience the other day. I guess you wonder how something can be both of those things, but this really was. Imagine this. As you know, I live in the same house with my partner, Davey Pena, and he was busy at his computer. Well, I went into my bedroom and decided I would take a bit of a nap because I'd been working rather hard on the book, and which is coming along swimmingly, incidentally.
And rather disturbing experience the other day. I guess you wonder how something can be both of those things, but this...
And woke under strange circumstances. I don't know what triggered it off.
Same house.
I started to think, I said, wow, that's one thing I've never done. I have never ridden an elephant. Now, these are secrets that I'm revealing to you, that ever since I was a kid, I wanted to ride on an elephant. But at the same time, I thought to myself, but I got to remember, I don't want a painted elephant. Because I've always figured that elephants are very uncomfortable being painted up like circus elephants, for example. And I thought I'd like to get on a gray elephant.
I started to think, I said, wow.
I was on my way to the office, as I said. I
have never ridden an elephant.
And I heard Davey call me from his room. He was at his computer.
Revealing to you that
and
ever since I was a kid, I wanted to
room,
ride on an elephant.
And I was stunned. He had wanted to talk to me about something completely different, but there...
Because I've always figured that elephants are very uncomfortable being painted up. Circus elephants, for example. And
was a painted elephant.
I thought I'd like to get on just a plain old gray
with
elephant.
a guy on its back.
Well, I was on my way to the office, as I said. I almost had reached the office, and I heard Davey call me from his room. He was at his computer, and I went over there and walked into the room.
Too. Now, it was a coincidence, but it was a
He had wanted to talk to me about something completely different.
That's the only thing I could think of, but
on his big, he's got a big computer display.
Now, the average person having a coincidence of this nature occur
with a guy on its back
would be spooked out and might think, oh, I have some sort of psychic
really
powers.
hard to explain. I wasn't mumbling in my sleep or anything like that. When I told him about this experience, he was a little freaked out
looking at illustrations of different design motifs.
It was a
because he needed some inspiration.
It was a remarkable coincidence.
That's why he was just rotating images around his screen. But he happened, at the moment that I walked into his room, happened to have the painted elephant up there with the one guy up top. I think still that it is a remarkable coincidence, but as I say, I now understand with a further degree of intensity just how the average person out there, so to speak, can come to the conclusion that this must have been paranormal, because they just can't accept that kind of a remarkable coincidence. Now, if those remarkable coincidences didn't happen, as I've said many times, there would be something wrong there, because chance just calls for them to happen every now and then.
I think
they never happen.
A remarkable coincidence, but as I say, I now understand a further degree of intensity, just how the average person out there can come to the conclusion that this must have been paranormal.
That was great, wasn't it? No, not so much. This is what happens when you accept a talk with a happening person that doesn't even fill in the abstract field on the submission form. No, basically, what that kind of says is, and I like to make this point before people go back down the road, is if you start to think about things and you start to think about based upon your own experiences and your own input filter, you're probably going to get data and numbers wrong. You're going to digest them incorrectly the more complex they get. If you sit back and you just use a basic set of statistical tools, you can actually figure out, hey, what are the chances that, as he said, a coincidence is going to happen to you over the span of time? Now you're going to think, hey, I remember this. This is a great thing. But people remember things that are, striking to them, that use confirmation bias. They use facilities in their mind to say, hey, this is one thing or this is another. Use techniques that are based upon math to go back and say, I want to figure out how actually often this person has this kind of alert or this kind of event happens. Otherwise, you're going to make mistakes, and learning these things is very important. Now, I hope to finish this talk and actually give it in full sometime, but it's what it is. So I will take any questions if you have any. I'll be frightened. Okay, thank you very much.
This has been a presentation of NoVA Hackers at ShmooCon Epilogue 2014, hosted by Mach37, brought to you by ComputeCycle. Video recording and streaming services provided by Cranial Thunder Productions.